Welcome to Insecure Faith Meets Joy and Freedom with your host, Shanika G. I'm so glad you're here. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Insecure Faith Meets Joy and Freedom. I'm your host, Shanika G, and I am joined here today, ladies and gentlemen, with my special guest, Angel Wilborn. Angel, how are you today?
Hey, Shanika, I am doing good today. I am excited to be here and chat with you and see where this conversation goes. Thank you so much for having me.
Girl, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much. I am excited about our conversation as well. And as you guys already know, we're going to jump in with a quick word of prayer, and then we're going to dig in, okay? All right. So, Lord God, we thank you for another opportunity, for another episode of Insecure Faith Meets Joy and Freedom. God, I thank you so much for the guests that you are sending my way. Thank you for this space to allow them to just give clarity around your nature and how you've helped them, how you're navigating and helping them through tough moments, through inspiring moments, through seasons changing, through businesses, being able to integrate all of the things, God. We thank you for this conversation. May it continue to be beneficial. May it continue to be fruitful for whoever takes to listen, and that they will not only just be inspired, but that they will put on their own work and running shoes, and that they will get moving to do the thing that you've called them to do. So we thank you for this time and this opportunity. It's in your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So guys, as I said, I am amped about our conversation today. We have Miss Angel Wilborn with us today. And Angel is a public relations navigator. Y'all, first of all, I don't fully know what that is, but I'm going to get her to explain for us. Okay. She has a master of arts in public relations and a certificate in event planning. She is a behind the scenes kind of girl, which is why PR is perfect for her. She does a little happy dance when a plane comes together or a crisis is averted. I want to see this happy dance too. She believes in honesty, kindness, and organization, and that is how she runs her business. In addition to being a fabulous PR navigator, she is also a wife and a mom. There is usually a caffeinated beverage, a notepad, a pen, and it is close to her whenever she is coming up with these amazing ideas, right? And in her spare time, she enjoys organizing. She said, seriously, y'all, seriously, that ain't my thing, for real. But and also having game nights with her family, trying new restaurants, and most importantly, napping. Y'all, welcome again, Angel. We're happy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And yes, I seriously love organizing. It makes me so happy. Like, you know how some people rage clean? I rage organize, and I love it.
Whoa. Well, I'm gonna have to get some more deets for y'all. Y'all don't worry, I got y'all. I'm gonna get the details for y'all. Okay, we gonna figure out how she got there. Okay.
Listen, so, I love it.
Yes. So we're gonna jump in, and I love to play a quick game of this or that or whatever random silliness I decide. As we're going through. But one question I have for you, because you are loving the caffeinated beverages, and I know you love coffee. One thing that I want to know is this or that, whether it's coffee that you prefer from a local coffee brewery, or are you a big chain type of girl that likes to get the special drinks from these bigger names? Where are you at with that?
I am a local coffee shop type of girl, and I credit that to one of my best friends. At first, I was like, "Oh, you just got to go to like the big chains and stuff like that." And about 6 or 7 years ago, I went to DC to visit one of my friends. And she was like, "Oh, we're going to go get some coffee." And I was like, "Okay." And she took me to this place, and I was like, "Where are we?" And she's like, "It's a local coffee shop here. It's really popular. People like it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Do you only drink like the big chain coffees?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "I don't think you're actually a coffee drinker because you have to try that. You have to try local ones." And she said, "Whenever I go out of town or I move to a new city, I make it my mission to try a local coffee place. And I was like, okay. So I went, tried it. It was good. And I had kind of forgot about it. And then a few months later, she came to visit me and she's like, I want to go get coffee. And she said, what's a good local coffee spot around here? And I was like, girl, I don't know. So she went on Yelp and she found one. And she's like, have you ever heard of this place? And I was like, no, I haven't. And so we went there. And then ever since then, I have to try like local coffee shops. It is my mission whenever we go out of town or anything like that. Like my husband's already like, have you scoped out the local coffee shops near us or what have you done? And it never fails. I go out of town, I find a local coffee shop, I fall in love with it. And I'm like, can I just take this coffee shop with me and bring it back home? Because I just want to come and sit in here and sip on my iced latte and do some work while I'm in this gorgeous environment. So local coffee shops all the way.
Love it. I love that so much. And I remember the exact same thing for me too. I remember I was on this retreat and this girl that I know, like we all love coffee and we would go to the big chain, right? But she was like, local places is what I love to do. I love to scout them out. I love to go to them and figure it out. And then I met a friend that married my husband's college friend, and she, whenever she goes on different trips for work or whatever, that's her thing. She goes to find the local places. And I'm like, okay. So I actually did that in Aiken, and I was just like, let me try downtown, the Moon Cafe. And I tried it, and I was like, oh my gosh.
It's so good.
So good. And it was a cool little, it was like a retro 70s kind of vibe, but not really, but it was really like, I loved it.
Yeah.
And food was good. We had like chicken salad. It was 10 out of 10. Okay. And so now, even though it's like just more convenient for me to go to a local train because I can do a mobile order and I'm in and out.
Right.
And I have the time and I'm just like, if we go vacation with friends, that's what I want to do. And I was like, now I got to start doing this for real because it is so good.
It is.
It's a little cheaper too.
Right. It is. And like, I be wanting to buy their shirts and all their like merchandise and stuff like that. And I remember in December, had to go to Alabama for my grandmother's funeral. And so I was at the hotel and I like to ask, people who live there, like, hey, what's a good local coffee shop? I asked the receptionist at the hotel desk, I said, hey, what's a good local coffee shop that I can go to? And she named the big chain across the street. And I just looked at her and I was like, no, ma'am, I am judging you. I can no longer trust anything that you have to say. Like, I'm done. Don't tell me that she could have listened, girl. She could have told me the sky was blue and I wouldn't have believed her because no, ma'am. I said a good local. That is not a local coffee shop, like local to the area. Not that I can drive and find one every 5 miles. That is not local, ma'am.
Right. We want the community place. Okay.
I want some place that somebody's auntie, grandma, sister, something, that's what I need in my life. Okay. I need to walk in there and I can possibly meet the owner. Like the owner's working behind the counter. That's what I mean when I say local, not
exactly.
So I
totally agree.
She had to say,
I totally agree with you. Yes. Give it up for the local chains.
Yes, locals.
Girl, yes. Okay, that was good. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. We need people to expand a little bit, and I'm one of those people. So I'm talking to myself too. So I'm gonna get in that rhythm.
We're gonna work on you.
We're gonna work on it. It might take me an extra few minutes, but it's okay. I don't have to have the mobile order there. Just do
allow yourself just a little more time. 5 extra minutes. That's just all.
5 extra minutes. Yes, leave whatever you got to do. So that's going to be a goal of mine for the year. I'm gonna put that up. I'm gonna put that up. Yes, it's going to be a goal. It's going to be a goal.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
I know you will, and people do so, and check on your girl and just be like, did you do it? Look, don't put up with excuses. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
All right. So as y'all know, I said this PR navigator thing. I don't know. We're gonna hear from Angel. We're gonna find out some more information. Okay. So as it relates to public relations education and public relations navigator, tell your people a little bit more about this.
So public relations. So I majored in communications in undergrad, and then we could, people hear communications and they think, oh, you want to be on TV or you want to be a radio host or all that. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be on TV. I'm not trying to be in front of nobody's camera or anything like that. And so one of the focus, so it was communications, which was the broad topic. And then there's like different umbrellas under it. And I went with public relations, which is just public relations is how the public sees you, like how they see your brand, what they think about your brand, it's publicity. It's getting on other people's stages, getting your company or your brand or yourself visible. And I was like, oh, and it's also behind the scenes kind of work. And so I realized this, so a little bit of backstory here. So, and then you said that I have the event planning certification as well. So in 2005, because I started college in 2004. So in 2005, that was when the movie The Wedding Planner with Jennifer Lopez came out. And I loved that movie. And then also that was the same year that my god sister got married. And it was so fun for me. Like most people be like, this is just craziness. But it was so fun for me being in the chaos of running behind the scenes of like trying to get stuff done for her wedding. Like she was like losing stuff and forgetting stuff and she forgot something. And I remember I had to like go all the way back to her mom's house to get. And I say all the way back because the wedding was in a different state. I did not know my way around. This is before like GPS and navigation and all this. This is, printing out MapQuest, Google Maps. And then I wasn't even in my own car. I was in like one of her friends' like brand new expensive car that she just handed the keys over to this 19-year-old girl and was like, here, take my car and go back and get it. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it was the chaos and the chaoticness of it. And then also in undergrad, I worked in what they call the Office of University Advancement. And so that had like the communications department and the marketing department. And that was behind the scenes stuff because it's just like, oh, you just see a college and you don't realize all the stuff that goes on behind it with the connections that they have to make and the things that they have to do out in the community and the people that they have to partner with. And so all that intrigued me. So that's why I decided to put like my focus on public relations. And I knew that I eventually wanted to do event planning. So did that. Then I graduated in 2008. And like I tell everybody, middle of a recession. So my dream of, graduating and getting this great PR job was kind of crushed because it's like, oh, you need a master's degree. And I was like, I'm just not getting a master's degree. I refuse to do it. I'm gonna apply for these jobs and I'm gonna get me a job somehow, some way, but I'm not going to get no master's degree. And then finally, I just realized that every job I wanted, it required a master's degree. And I was like, crap, I'm never going to get my dream job if I don't go get this master's degree. So what do? I suck it up. I go get the master's degree. Now everybody wants 5 years of experience plus a master's degree. Where getting this 5 years of experience from if nobody's willing to give it to me? Like I can't just I can't just pull this out of thin air. Like somebody's gonna have to give me this experience. So, anyways, long story short, did not get my job in PR because of all the stuff that was going on. And so, but I had other jobs and stuff, but it always just kind of like came back to me doing some type of like PR type work, some type of publicity type stuff. And so when I became a virtual assistant, it was just supposed to be me helping people get their business and stuff organized. And every time, most of my clients were just like friends of mine or somebody that friends of somebody that I knew that had referred me. And all of them kept saying, without knowing that I had like a background in PR, they kept saying, hey, you're doing like more PR stuff. You're doing PR. And I'm like, oh, no, not really. And then also around that time, I started actually going to a local coffee shop. And I was just like, just like sharing their pictures and stuff like that on Facebook and Instagram and like telling people about them. And the owner started calling me like her PR person. And I was like, okay, here's this PR thing again. And I was like, oh, no, she's just joking. But then I actually did start like doing some PR stuff for them. And then I became a virtual assistant for an author. And then again, I just started like doing PR stuff for her. And she's like, you're more of like a publicist than a virtual assistant. And I was like, no, not really. A couple days later, my cousin ends up saying the same thing because I'm telling her what I'm doing. She's like, this is not virtual assistant stuff. This is public relations type stuff.
Whoa.
And so finally, I'm just like, okay, let me accept this. This is my calling. And so I was like, let me get into public relations. But all of my time and my experience in public relations, people know what it is, but they don't know what it is. And so trying to like explain it to them, they're just like, well, I don't get that. Or they hear the word publicist And they think that it's only for celebrities or big businesses, big, chains and brands. And I'm like, no, small businesses can use publicity. Podcast hosts can use a publicist, like authors can use a publicist. If you have a business, you need some type of PR. And I know that PR can be super expensive. And so that's when I was like, a public relations navigator. I can help you navigate PR and incorporate that into your business without breaking the bank. So public relations navigator. So I educate you on it and I help you navigate through what PR actually is.
Whoa, that's incredible, because I absolutely agree with you. We need that. And as you were saying it, I'm like, she's hitting on the things that I'm actually like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And so I just love that. And like you said, it can be very, it can hit the bank and make you be like, ooh, yeah, I'm going to try to figure this out on my own. And so for you to have that space and that path for so many people that need it, that's incredible. And I am glad that just reminds me of just God's nature. Like, he will continue to send confirmation after confirmation until you kind of like pick up on like, hey,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm knocking at the door telling you what I need you to do right now.
Right.
And you didn't get that one? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Here I am again.
Right. It's like, you gonna open the store or what? Like I told you, I told you what you're supposed to do and you're not listening. And so it's like, okay, well, until you listen, we're gonna be at a standstill. We're gonna be stagnant. Yeah. So let's listen.
Man. Yes. And then, even what you thought, like even the thought process in that for you to get to understanding, like, everybody can't afford the big bag of having PR, but being able to help them navigate through that so you can, find cost-effective strategies for them, but also, you making a living and, getting what you need from it too. So I'm just so thankful for this route of where you're like, you learn something new every day. I did not know this. And now I'm like, I'll be sending a follow-up message. Okay.
Girl, come on.
Yes, that is awesome. And so how long have you kind of like been in that space of being a PR navigator?
So I did my, what year are we in? 2024? Okay. So I don't know. Listen,
it be like that, girl.
Listen, ever since 2020, I'm like, what year is
That's
it?
I don't know what I was about to say. 2020 got us like, what we have?
Right. Like, I mean, listen, sometimes I think 2010 was 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh no, it was not.
That's
Oh my goodness. So I rebranded. So my business started off in 2022, I think, as a virtual assistant business. And it was just me just trying to make some extra money. I was like, okay, this is something that I can do. Like, I've been in the admin assistant field for 8 years. This is something that I can do like at nighttime, and it's not going to take me out the house. Like, I can still be in the house. I can work this. So I started my virtual assistant business. And it was like slow. I wasn't really getting any clients. As I said earlier, the people that I was getting was usually referrals from somebody else that I knew, and they knew that they needed help, but they couldn't afford to pay like a lot of money or something. I'm just trying to like build my portfolio. So I was like, okay, I'll help you. So that was when my first person was when I kind of started to realize it was pointed out to me that I was doing the PR thing, but I was like, I'm not going to really, pay that any attention. And so it started in April or May of 2022 is when I started doing the virtual assistant thing. And then the latter part of 2022 is when I kept hearing about like the public relations and stuff like that. And that flowed over into 2023. So then last year, the month of July, I was just like, again, I was like, I'm at a standstill. I'm not really getting any clients. I'm putting myself out there. I'm trying to connect with people. I'm trying to network. Like, what am I doing? Is it worth even keep going with like trying to do this virtual assistant thing, trying to, make it work? And so I decided that I was just going to take the month of July off from trying to find clients, trying to do anything. And at that time, that was when I was working with the author. So I was like, I still have her. I'll still, work with her, but I'm not going to try to get any new clients. And then, so that was the time when with that, the author was like, you're more of a publicist. And then that was when my cousin said a couple of weeks later. So And then also I remember I went to go get my hair done, and I was talking to my hairstylist at that time, and he was like, God, I was telling him everything that's going on. He's like, God is telling me to tell you to fast for the rest of the month and just pray and see where things are going. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll do that. So I did that. And, that's when it came to me. I was like, I need to rebrand as public relations. Like, that's what I need to be doing. And so I've been doing the public relations, fully admitting it to myself that this is what I'm doing for about a year now. But the business started 2 years ago.
Got it. Man, that's super dope. That is super dope. And how he brings it full circle back to you for you to walk into what you're supposed to. And you finally was like, oh, okay, yeah. This is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay, God, let me start listening to you. I done tried everything else and none of that is working. So maybe now I'll try listening to you. And he's like, okay, cool. So now you ready now? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's see what we got here. So yeah.
That's kind of how we are. I think about with our own children, right? And we're like, look, I am telling you, if you do this, it will be better. Like, you're going all around here and I'm showing you the solution and you're not listening. I remember my youngest just getting upset over a shoe one day. And I'm like, baby, I'm right here. I can help you. Yes. I can do it myself. So you're crying, you laid out on the floor, kicking your legs because you're mad. And then you're so tired now. Like, you're tired. So now you want to come to me for help. And wow, look how fast I got the shoe on for you.
We could have been done. We done wasted 20, 30 minutes. And we could have been did this. We could have had, we could have been done this. The solution was right there in front of you.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's like how I know God is looking at us sometimes like, you doing all of this, stressing for no reason, kicking and screaming and coming to me crying with your mascara running and all the things, because you couldn't just take 5 seconds to pause and talk to me.
Right. And wait, hold on. Wait, you took the 5 seconds to pause and talk to me, but then you didn't want to listen to what I said because it wasn't what you wanted to hear. So now here we are. Here we are. Yes.
Because you didn't take what I already had to say. You wanted to just say it and keep going.
Exactly. You wanted to tweak it.
You thought it was fine. You weren't.
Right. You wanted to tweak it and make it feel how you wanted it so it could work into what you had going on. Yeah.
And what is it? I forget. Is it Endgame or with the Avengers and at the end and Thanos tells him, and where did that lead you? Right back.
Right. Exactly. Where we at? Right back here. So why don't we cut all of this out and just girl? Yes. Yes. That was me. Yeah. All around the mountain. All around the mountain. Yep.
Same, man. So I know that you said you started a business in 2020 and then you kind of like paused, revamped in 2021. How did you know that you needed to like kind of redefine and revamp that business structure?
Okay. So the business that I started in 2020 was something completely different. So as we said, 2020 pandemic hit, sitting at home, chilling. And my roommate from college she had a Cricut and she was like, we should start like making shirts. Or one of us got the idea to start doing something. We was like, we should start a business. And I was like, well, you can make the shirts. And I have a sewing machine. I used to sew when I was growing up. And
really?
Yes. So I have a sewing machine. The sewing machine has literally followed us everywhere. And right before, I think in 2019, I gave it to my mom because my husband was like, I've known you for like 12 years or however long it had been. I don't do math. It's like 2019. So 11 years. He's like, I've known you for like 11 years. The sewing machine has moved with us every single place we moved, but I have never seen you sew absolutely anything. Why are we still holding on to this? And I was like, because one day I'm going to use it again. He said, you keep saying that, and I've never seen you sew anything. He's like, don't you think it's time for you to get rid of it? And I was like, but I don't want to. So I said, okay. So I told him I was going to get rid of it, but I sent it to my mama's house. So I was like, Mama, can you hold on to the sewing machine for me? Because I told him I was gonna get rid of it, but can you hold on to the sewing machine for me? So he held on to the sewing machine. So 2020 comes around. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get back into sewing. So I told my husband, I was like, yeah, we're gonna start this business. She's gonna make shirts and I'm gonna do zipper pouches. And I was like, so now I gotta get my sewing machine back. And he was like, I thought you got rid of it. I was like, I did. I sent it to my mama's house. Like, that was me.
You got rid of it.
That was me getting rid of it. You said get rid of it. You didn't say where it had to go. So I went to my mama's house. So it had been years since I had sewn anything. I went on YouTube, started watching some videos about zipper pouches and stuff. So I was doing the zipper pouches. We came up with this name, girl. Didn't know anything about starting a business. We was just out here creating a name, creating a logo, calling it a day. So I started with the zipper pouches. I went on Amazon, ordered all this fabric and stuff like that. And then masks obviously started becoming like really popular. So I started doing masks, and I remember I was excited because there's all these different groups going on with people trying to, get stuff. So started doing masks. I remember I got an order for like 100 masks or 200 masks or something like that for this lady she wanted to order some for like her students and the teachers and stuff like that in school. So I was doing the zipper pouches, doing the masks. I was making earrings too. So I tried to do all the stuff, and she had the shirt part of it. And then it was going, but it wasn't really going. And I was like, okay. But I was really excited to be like back into sewing and everything. So I was doing my sewing, and I signed up for this online sewing class, and I learned how to make tote bags. And I was like, oh, I really enjoy making the tote bags. And I would always, so like I made one for my mom, just because I'm making it. And she would always get compliments on it. I would get compliments on my bags when I took them out. Okay, cool. I'm about to start a tote bag business. This is what I'm going to do. So me and my roommate, my friend, we had already had an Etsy shop. So I think we just decided to forget about that. So close down that Etsy shop. So I was also making blank too, girl. I was just doing everything. I got that sewing machine back. Listen, I got that sewing machine back out, girl. And I was just whipping up all kind of stuff. Tote bags, blankets, you name it. What else was I doing? Burp cloths, baby. Listen, burp cloths, baby bibs, girl. The car seat cover thingies, girl, I find me a YouTube video and I would be good. I'd be good to go. And then the sewing class that I signed up for, she gave you like patterns and stuff like that too. So I was just out here doing all that. I said, I'm gonna start my business. Oh, aprons. I was doing aprons too. I was like, I'm gonna start my business and I'm gonna do tote bags. So start the tote bag business, get my LLC and everything. Girl, get my LLC. I'm doing this. I'm signing up to go to vendor fairs because I wanted to go to vendor fairs. And I was like, I need my LLC and tax ID on. So I'm signing up to go to vendor fairs. I'm out here at these vendor fairs paying $60, $20, $30 for them and making zero. Like staying up all night long, trying to get all this stuff together for a vendor fair and not making anything from it. And so that was that was like 2021 when everything was kind of up and running. And so I was like, okay, let me take a step back here a little bit. Then, of course, everybody was into t-shirts. Everybody wanted t-shirts. And I was like, I got this business. I got all this stuff. And so I remember my sister-in-law got a Cricut. And that was my first time actually playing around with it. And I was like, ooh, I want one. Everybody keeps asking me for shirts. I can do this. So I got the Cricut, started making shirts with the Cricut. Then people didn't want vinyl no more. Now they wanted the sublimation. So started the sublimation. So I'm trying to do that. I'm just trying to do everything just to try to keep up. And I'm spending more money than I'm actually making. And it's frustrating because people don't understand that you can't just whip up a shirt. It takes time to do the shirt. You got to get the shirt. I'm trying to explain to people that with sublimation, it has to be a polyester blend. I can't on the dark color shirt. People are like, oh, I want a black shirt, but I don't want vinyl on it. And I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. This is not going anywhere. And this was just supposed to be a fun hobby for me to keep myself from going crazy. So I finally decided to put that that business is called 1035 Crafts and More. I just decided to put that on the back burner. And then that was when I kind of flowed into the virtual assistant aspect of things. So yeah, but I realized that I'm just I'm doing everything and nothing at all, and I'm getting frustrated. And what was supposed to be fun for me is no longer fun. It's stressful, and it's making me have headaches, and it's just making me want to throw stuff at the wall. So I need to step away from it.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you realized that, and then you didn't just continue to keep going and, digging a deeper hole of just debt for no reason, like
Right.
all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And that, I'm just glad that you got to that place. But baby, you got me crying. I can just see you knitting up and sewing up everything. Ooh, what's that? A sock? Let me get them in all colors.
Girl, listen, that's literally how it was. Like, I would go to Joann's and I would be in Joann's for like 2 hours just walking around with all this, like looking at all the fabric and all this stuff. Like, I could not, I'm telling you, for about 6 to 8 months, I was in Joann's at least 5 times a week. At least 5 times a week. Yes.
This is hilarious.
Yes, girl.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my goodness. It's like, just because you're good at a thing doesn't mean it's the thing that you're purposed to do, right? And it's just like, just realizing that.
Girl, look, that was an expensive lesson to learn.
I cannot, like, that is so funny to me.
Listen, but it was a very expensive lesson.
Yes, because I'm literally, as you say that, like, I remember doing some of the Cricut stuff too. And girl, I have not been on this Cricut since, I think I got it during the pandemic too. Like, I got it during the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken. And we moved the next year. And so today, or last week, or 2 weeks ago, maybe, it's the first time I pulled it out since 2021. And I pulled out all the stuff, and I'm looking at it because, like, I have like a little craft space. I got my area for therapy, and I got my area for the podcast in this room. And so I'm looking at the floor now, and I'm like, girl, I got so much vinyl and stuff on this floor rolled up, the mats and all that. I'm looking at like, oh my gosh. And so when you just said the sublimation they want, I'm like, oh, so I'm behind time. So I'm sitting here looking at this vinyl like, oh, they don't even want this no more.
Girl, listen, they don't even want the sublimation no more now. They done moved on to DTF, direct transfer film or something like that. So that's I explained that as vinyl and sublimation had a baby, because with DTF, so with vinyl, you got it when you print it out, you got to like piece stuff together. Yes. So then with sublimation, you could print the whole image out as one thing and just press it. You didn't have to piece it together, and it stuck to the shirt better. It was like embedded into the shirt. But as I said, you could only do it on like polyester blend shirts. It had to have a high % of polyester count, and you could only do it on light colored shirts. So it had to be on like a white shirt. A lot of people started selling sublimation blanks where you could get like pinks and yellows and, like lighter color shirts, but you couldn't do it on black. Everybody loves a black shirt. Okay. So with the DTF transfer, it looks like you can put it on anything like how you can with vinyl. It doesn't have to be a certain type of shirt. So it's like vinyl that you can press it on any type of shirt. But it's like sublimation, as in that it prints out all one image and then you just press it onto the shirt. Yeah. So girl, they done moved on from sublimation. Yeah, girl.
Listen, so is the Cricut even still needed at this point?
Listen, I use the Cricut for, like I told you when we were doing my podcast, I use it to put journal for my journal, to put that on my journal. And then I use it to like make some thank you cards. I had some blank cards that I had, and then I printed out like thank you, and I put it on there. And I've used the Cricut for like little other things to like label stuff, or for like the wall decal and stuff. But all of my iron-on vinyl, I was cleaning up, and I had like a whole bunch of it. A lot of it was scratched. There were a couple like full rolls in there. I sold it all on like Facebook Marketplace for like $10. I didn't even think anybody was going to buy it, but somebody scooped that right up. So I was like, take it, get it out my face.
Okay. So that's what I'll be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I apologize.
Bubble got popped, but you know what? It's all good. Like I said, it had been 3 years anyway. And man. Got it. Yeah. See, you never know what you're going to learn. See, I didn't learn something. Now I'm going to Google later, DTF. Like, I got to look it up. I'm like, I got to know now. Because
you got to know now. I got you. I got you.
Man, okay. Well, tell me this. How do you do this thing called being, or because you said you like to stay organized, you like doing organization and these types of things. So how does that look in your actual life? when it relates to PR navigation, being wife, being mom, being a friend, doing all these things that we do. How does Angel stay organized?
Ooh, okay. So Angel has like 4 calendars. So 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 my husband and I, we have a joint calendar on our phone where where we add events and stuff to it about what's going on. I tell him if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. And when I say like we put stuff on there, if he's gonna go out to eat with like his coworkers, or if I'm gonna go out to eat with somebody, like we put that on the calendar so that we know what's going on. We'll check the calendar, and it's like, oh, okay, I don't see anything on this day, and it's like, yeah, cool, go for it. So we have that calendar. Then downstairs, when you come into our house, we have a big calendar that I update each month with like what's going on that month, because our son does soccer. He's not in season right now, but he does soccer. So put soccer games, soccer practices on there. This month, he has literally had a birthday party every single weekend. So all of those are on the calendar as well. I mean, it can be something as simple as, like I said, doctor's appointment or going out to eat with a friend or something like that. So those are our joint calendars. Then I also have my own calendars on my phone. And then I have my own personal planner that I still write all of that stuff in as well. And then I have my podcast planner because I erase a lot in there. And so I don't want to put that into my actual planner. So I'll put like my scheduling, like in, like what I plan to schedule for that day. I'll put that in there. I was trying to use an online, thing called Asana, but I like pen to paper. And so, I need my pen to paper. And so what I realized was that the alerts will pop up and I would just kind of like clear them out and I wouldn't actually pay them attention because I want my pen and paper. Yeah. And so I try to set myself up a schedule. What I did, and I actually need to reevaluate it, is that I looked at all the things that I do on like a daily basis for like my podcast and my business, or, whether it's a daily basis or it's a weekly basis. And I was like, okay, so I tried to schedule time for that. Mm-hmm. And then I also have like my to-do list that I do, which of course to-do lists can change, but I like to try to plan it out. And I finally got to a point that I realized that, okay, you can plan it, but you have to leave wiggle room in case something doesn't work out. So I've gotten a lot better with that, but I do like to plan. I'm definitely a planner, and I like to put stuff back where it belongs because that saves time.
Yes.
My family hasn't quite gotten that memo yet. But I try like really, really hard to put things like back where they belong. I don't know if you remember growing up when your mom would say, oh, go get my purse, or go like pass me, the bag out the closet or something. And you're like, oh, I can't find it. And she's like, it's bottom left, to the right, look behind this. That's me. Like, I like to be able to tell you exactly where it is. And I feel like that also saves money because now I'm not buying duplicates of stuff when I know that I already have something. Now I got 3 of it when it's going to take me 6 months to get through it and it's going to expire. And so now I've wasted money on that. So I really try to put stuff back where it belongs. I sometimes go behind my family and put stuff back where it belongs. And when I say where it belongs, it's where it belongs is where I have decided it belongs, not where, they have decided that it belongs. So yeah, as I said earlier, I will rage organize sometimes. Like I'll go and I'll look in the pantry. I mean, I can be in the middle of cooking dinner and I'll go in there and I'll look for a seasoning or something and I can't find it because it's not where it's supposed to be. And the next thing you know, everything's out the pantry, and reorganizing the pantry. A couple of weeks ago, I went in the fridge I think I was cooking breakfast for my son, and I went in the fridge to get something, and I took everything out the fridge. I did it shelf by shelf because one thing that I do when organizing is I don't like pull everything out at one time. I like to work in sections. So I went section by section in the fridge, pull stuff out, check to see what was expired, threw it in the trash, wiped down all the little trays and stuff in the fridge and everything. My husband got home. He said, was the fridge this empty when I left? I said, no, but it had a lot of crap in there that didn't need to be in there. And so now it's in the trash. So Yeah, so rage organizing is what I do. But I just feel like when you're organized, it makes things so much simpler. It cuts down on stress. It cuts down on wasted time. We have a hook in the kitchen where we hang our keys up. I always put my keys back on the hook when I come in the house so that I know where they are. There's been a couple of times where like I've left them in my purse because my husband or son will open the door for me. And then if they're not on the hook, I'm like, oh crap, where are my keys at? Like I can't find my keys now. So just little things like that to keep yourself on track and to keep yourself organized, because we're already so busy and running around and doing 5,000 things that if you can just take little steps to do things that help with the bigger picture, it just helps you out. So it helps you out so much more. Like when I finish doing something, like when I was at work, every day when I leave, I clean my desk up. My desk would be organized. My stuff would be like where it was supposed to be. I try to keep stuff straightened up. That's just me. It makes my life easier.
I love that.
Thank you.
I can't say that I'm quite there all the way. But what I will say is I do like stuff in an area. Like if I know this is where I always get my garlic seasoning stuff, I need it right there so I can grab it. And like you said, I can easily say, husband, I need you to go grab that. Where is it? It's right there at the bottom of the tray, right there to the right. You're going to see
exactly.
It.
Yes.
So I absolutely agree with that. It saves so much time.
It does.
If I got to search for it, then I'm pulling out all the things and then I got to put it all back. Like, just leave it where it.
And my husband and son, they'll be like, oh, have you seen my such and such? Nope.
No.
And I tell my son all the time, he's like, I can't find my whoop. You should learn to put stuff back where it belongs. That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem, buddy. I got my stuff.
Just like me. It's a you problem. I don't know what to tell you. That's my first tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. I got my stuff. I'm good.
And if it's not there, that lets me know you've been messing with it.
Girl, like my son and I, we both use Aquaphor, and we usually get like the little small bottle. So I keep mine on my little like stand thingy that I have in the bathroom. Occasionally I'll go in there and I can't find mine. So I'm looking all around, and he gets dressed. Sometimes he gets dressed in his room. Sometimes he gets dressed in our room. Where does Angel happen to find her Aquaphor at? With his stuff. This is mine. Well, I don't know where mine is. Personal problem. Nail clippers. I can never find my nail clipper. I purposely got all three of us our own nail clippers. Put my son's in his bathroom. Put my husband's on his nightstand. I put mine in the bathroom. Shanika, tell me why I go in the bathroom and I can't find my nail clipper where it's supposed to be. But then I check their stuff and they got 2 and 3 nail clippers on the spot. It's a problem.
You are all yours.
Right. See, this is why I like to be organized. Yeah. So that's my
to fall in line.
Yeah. So that's my little tangent right there.
Okay. I completely understand. I completely get it. I totally get it. I promise you I do.
Okay. As long as somebody is with me on this right here, because
I am completely. So tell us about the Modco podcast.
Oh, yay. Okay. So the Modco podcast has been on for a little over a year now. It is about organization and entrepreneurship. It is, I just want to shine a light on the realness of it. So when it started off, it was supposed to like flip-flop each week. 1 week's supposed to be organizing, 1 week's supposed to be entrepreneurship, but it kind of just started off with just organizing. And then I went to 2 episodes a week. So I could do 1 episode on organizing, 1 on entrepreneurship. But running a podcast is a lot of work, and that just that got to be a lot. And so with anything, it's kind of shifted some. I think that we're still, hitting on the organization and entrepreneurship. It does seem to talk a little bit more about like entrepreneurship, but I do add in some organization. Like I have an episode coming out on like somebody talking about like how they do time management and stuff like that. But like I said, I just want to shine the realness on it. And something that I have learned from the podcast is that not everyone organizes the same. Like I did a whole series on the different styles of organizing that I had found online. And that really helped me to learn the styles and like how they work well together. So it gives you tips on how to organize. It talks about how being disorganized can mess with like your mental, and how it can, make you stress. Things that you can do to take small steps to start getting organized, starting with one thing, or small steps to like start decluttering things, and how clutter affects your life and your everyday life. And then entrepreneurship, about mistakes that people made. Some of my episodes are solo episodes. Some of them are guest episodes that you can get other people's insight on it. So we talked about like business and mental health. We talked about like business and trauma, business finances. Like I've had a couple people on there talk about like finances and getting your finances organized and staying on top of those for business mistakes that you've made, people who are still working a 9-to-5 while building their business, and just that entrepreneurship is not the glitz and glamour that you see online. It's just really to shine a light, because I feel like that's something that's all we see. It's just like, especially when the pandemic hit, everybody, okay, we've been home for 6 months. You should be an entrepreneur by now. You should have a business by now. Why do you not have a multi-million-dollar business by now? Why do you not have a 6-figure business by now when we've been sitting at home for 6 months? What have you been doing with your life? And it takes more than 6 months just to get a business up and popping. I mean, most people, when they start a business in 6 months, they done changed that business at least 3-4 times most of the time. And as I said, I started off making tote bags, and now here I am doing public relations. 2 completely different ends of the spectrum here. Like, and that's not even my full entrepreneurial journey. That's just the last 4 years. And so I just want to shine a light on, that person who started off doing one thing and now they're finally in their calling, and they're not where they want to be, but they're not where they were, and they're building that foundation to get there. Or that person who had a great business and nearly lost everything because of a mistake that they made from hiring the wrong person or whatever it is. So that's what it's about. It's just about the realness, the ugliness, the rawness of it, and how you can come out on top.
Oh,
yes.
That's so great. Just how you're able to incorporate just the organizational part of it, the entrepreneur part of it, but also, like you said, shining that light on being able to navigate through, maybe you had this over here and then you had to learn the lessons or whatever the case is to get to where you are now, which you have told us. You went from making all the things.
Yes. All the things. Yeah. All the things.
Now in this space that's flourishing and that provides space and light and opportunities for other people to kind of share their journey of what they're walking through, what they've walked through, and what they're going into in different seasons of their life. So I think that's incredible. Now this question relates to the podcast that I really want to know. Just
okay.
It may be just a me question. I don't know. Maybe it's my personal question. I don't know if it's going to help everybody, but it's going to help.
Okay.
Are there any times that someone may complete a form to be a guest, and then you in the middle of recording, and then it gets a little weird or not what you expected? Has there ever been any cases like that for you?
Girl, yes. Oh my goodness. There have been a couple of times that I'm like, what is actually happening in this conversation right now? What are we talking about here? Like, okay. And I know a lot of podcast hosts do like a quick consultation or coffee chat or whatever they want to call it before, but people are busy. I'm busy. I don't have time to sit here and do a 15-minute chat with you just to say, yes, I'm going to have you on the show. Because I've done a couple of those, and no one has ever been like, okay, no, I'm not going to have you on the show. So I don't have time to sit here, schedule time with you to have this 15-minute chat with you just to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to have you on the show. And then turn around and then record, 30 to 60 minutes with you as well. Like, no, we're going to record. We're going to see, how it goes. And there have been times that I'm trying to turn the conversation back around, and it doesn't necessarily, turn back around or go back around. So yeah, I've definitely had that. So, and then also that you said, I had someone fill out a guest form recently,
Uh-huh.
and they didn't give me, so for their name, like it has the first and last name. They just put, I don't even know if this was the first letter of their real name, but they literally just put the first letter. They just put one letter on there. Last name, they just put one letter on there. And I'm just looking at the application and I'm like, you can't be serious right now. You honestly cannot be serious that you want to be on my show with this little bit of information. This isn't telling me nothing about you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard out here.
I am weak again. I don't know what made me even think of that question when I was just like writing stuff down for you. I'm like, wait, I know there are times when you're like, what is happening? Mm-hmm. What are they saying? Do I cut it off? Do I chop out this part? What is, oh my gosh, how do I reel them back in?
Yeah, you know, that if I can't reel them back in, I will usually just like end up ending the show and I'll be like, okay, you know, like we'll just go ahead and we'll wrap this up right quick. Yeah, I will definitely, you know, just wrap it up. And then sometimes I also feel like, I mean, I tell you what the show is about. Whenever I put out a call for guests, like you saw in the podcast group, I'm usually asking for a very specific topic.
Yes.
Or if I reach out to someone, like I know you said for me, he was like, oh, I saw you put it out there for, but I didn't think that I could speak on any of the topics. And I was like, oh yeah, that was for a very specific like topic, you know? Yeah. But I reach out to someone, I'm reaching out to them because I have something in mind that I want to talk to about. And it's more so I realized when I put out a call for guests that I think people are just trying to get on a platform. And so they will just say anything. And then we start talking and I'm like, this is not what we said we were going to discuss. This is not what we said we were going to talk about. One time I was pitching myself to be a podcast guest. Yes. And this lady comments on the post and she's like, do you accept authors on your show? And I was like, yes, but I'm pitching myself to be on other people's show. And she's like, well, you like currently accepting authors on your show? And so I was just like, okay. So I just sent her the form. I was like, well, here, you can fill out my application, you know, and my show's not about self-promotion. Like, I give you a time at the end of it to talk about your business or whatever it is. But the whole show is not just so that you can self-promote. Like, I'm not giving you just complete free advertising here, you know? So she filled out the form. And I mean, it's simple questions like, why do you want to be on the show? To promote my book. What value literally, that's what she said. Why do you want to be on the show? To promote my book. Have you ever listened to an episode of the Modco podcast? No. What value can you bring to my audience? I can tell them about my book. Okay. What message do you want my audience to walk away with? To buy my book or something along those lines. Is there a question that you wish people asked you more about my book? And I'm like, okay, so I emailed. I was like, hey, you know, thanks for the application. I said, but you're not a good fit for the show. Like, here's what my show is about. And, you know, unfortunately, you don't align with that show. I wish you the best of luck. I don't know, maybe like a week or two later, I put out a call for a guest because then I'm looking for guests. This same person comments on it and was like, I'm interested. So you're not reading is what I'm seeing now. Like you're just pitching yourself to anyone, and you can't just pitch yourself to anyone. You should keep a list of who you're pitching yourself to and whether or not you got accepted or not. And also take the time to read. So yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. You missed it, and I was like, child. Yeah.
Because I got a random, just somebody was like, oh yeah, I saw your YouTube. I want to apply. And literally some of the questions you answered was, and one of the questions I always ask, like, do you have a biblical reference, you know, to kind of what helps you on this journey?
Yeah.
Get your Bible ready. Okay, so, you know, what is it that I'm going to talk about my book. What? You're not answering anything.
Right.
So it's just kind of like sitting there. I'm like, I don't know how to not, you know, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and just say, hey,
this ain't working.
Yeah, this is not going to work. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for answering that. That was
great.
Great.
No problem. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, you're welcome.
Speaking of books, great segue. somebody that has a book out,
Yes.
Fear and Forgiveness. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Tell us more.
Okay, so it is a 16-day devotional and 16-day devotion and fasting journal. And so each day so the first part of the book talks about fasting and why we fast, different types of fasting and what can come from it. And then the second half of the book is the devotional. So for 16 days, you get a story, you get a Bible verse that goes along with the story, and then you get reflection questions to answer after you read each day. And then at the end of the day, there's a prayer that goes with it. And then the back of it has journaling pages in it. And so I wrote this in July of last year when I was on my little break and everything. I wrote it then, and I had no clue what I was doing. Like, I just heard God say, I had came back from retreat. I went to a retreat at the end of June, and I was just like, okay, I've got to get my life together. Like, I am just mad, miserable, sad, like just everything. And I was like, I got to get my life together. And so I started my own journey. And then through that journey, that was when God was like, you got to write this devotional. And I was like, who, me? I was like, you must have dialed the wrong number, because and he was like, no, you. And I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying, what I'm supposed to be talking about. Like, I'm still, learning all of this for myself and just like diving deeper into learning about the Bible and reading my Bible. And he's like, that's why I want you to do this. And I was like, okay. And fear and forgiveness are two things that I have always struggled with. Like, I have always had a hard time of like letting go of stuff and just holding on to it for no reason, and then not doing things out of fear. And I just realized that, like, during writing this, I was stagnant. And it's like, I'm stagnant because I'm holding on to all of this excess baggage that I don't need to be holding on to. And I realized that like so much of mine was just clouded, because I love podcasts. Like, I love true crime podcasts. I still listen to my true crime podcast, but I realized that was literally all that I was listening to, from like the time that I would get in my car in the morning on my way to work, all day while I'm at work, all 8 hours while I'm at work. I'm like listening to this true crime podcast, and that's just all that's in my head. And I mean, I had these motivational podcasts that I followed. I just never actually listened to them. Yeah. And so for the month of July, I was like, I'm giving up my true crime podcast, like just completely not done with it, but I was like, I'm just going to take a break from, and I started like listening to those motivational podcasts. And so listening to those, and then just writing, God was like, you got to write this. And he was like, and he gave me a time frame. He's like, it has to be done by the end of July. And I'm like, you want me to write this thing? Not only you just sprung this on me, first of all. I was like, hey, you're about to do this. And then you're like, hey, it has to be done by July. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this what we doing here. Okay, cool. And it just flowed. Like, I have another book that I have been trying to write for years. And it's just, every now and then I'll throw something in there, but it never came together. Like this book here, every time I sat down to write or to do anything, the words just came out. It just flowed out. Like, I just knew where I needed to go in the Bible, what I needed to reference. And like I said, I was so all new to this myself, but I just knew exactly where to go. I looked forward to writing it. It didn't feel like a daunting task. It didn't feel like, okay, there was no writer's block. It just flowed. And so then I remember I finished it. And then after I finished writing, I was like, now I have to get this out. I have to put it out. So I'm looking up ISBNs and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to self-publish. And I'm trying to figure out all this stuff. And then I kept hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock with it. And finally I was like, God, what is going on here? You told me to write this. I wrote it now. And he's like, I told you to write it. Didn't tell you to do anything else with it. I just told you that you had to write it and that you had to be done with it by the end of July. And I was like, okay. So then it just sat there. And then at the beginning of this year, I talked with a lady who was talking about like starting like a community of women to get together and talk and pray. And she said, I want to have like devotionals and stuff like that we can do. And then I was like, oh, hey, I wrote this devotional. And I was like, I don't even know why I'm telling you this right now. I was like, but I wrote this devotional, maybe we could use that. And she's like, oh, okay. And then I never heard back from her about it. And so I kind of put it back on the back burner again. And then it popped up again. And then I remember, I told my mom about it, that I wrote this devotional. And I don't know about you, but once I tell my mama something, that's a wrap. Like it needs to start happening like ASAP, because they gonna be like, well, have you done it yet? What's going on with it? Have you done it yet? What's happening with it? And so I'm just like, okay. So she's like, well, what's going on with that? I was like, I done told my mama about this devotional. I ain't got no choice now but to put this thing out. Like there ain't no, I gotta wait for this, I gotta wait for that. And so it's like, it's time. And so that's what I did. I did self-publishing. I actually just got the books, and I did a pre-order for it. And I was like, is anybody gonna order this? What's gonna happen? But mama to the rescue again. She sent it to all her friends and everybody. And so I got, I got pre-orders from it. They came in yesterday, and I had actually used my Cricut, because like I said, I had the thank you cards. I had the blank cards left over, so I used my Cricut to do thank you cards for everybody that pre-ordered it. And they'll get a signed copy with a personalized thank you card in it as well. And I posted about it on Facebook, I think yesterday, that it came in all my social media channels, and I've actually gotten like 3 more orders today. So I am super, thank you. I am super excited about it. Thank you so much. It was a fun journey. Like I said, it wasn't as nerve-wracking as I thought it was going to be. It was just like, I would sit down and it would just come out, and it would just flow. Unlike this other book that I've been writing for like 6-7 years. So
literally understand you in that. Yeah. I remember telling you on your podcast, like, I know for sure, like this one that I had done years ago, and it's still just kind of sitting in a rough draft, but this journal workbook, it was like clear. I was super clear. Mm-hmm. And when God tells you to move, that's what you have no choice but to be obedient.
But to move. Yes.
And when like, look what happens. Look how clear you were. Look how you got it done in the amount of time that he told you to. Because if he gave it to you, like, he gonna walk you through it.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I gotta get me a copy. Everybody, again, Angel Wilborn with Fear and Forgiveness. Y'all make sure you get it. I'll make sure I add the show notes, that link, so you guys will be able to do that too. And my last question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
What does success and obedience to God mean for you?
Ooh, Shanika. This was something else that I struggled with for the longest time, because I didn't like the word obedience. And I think, and the reason that I didn't like it was because I felt like people would just use it for everything. Like everything. Oh, I'm just being obedient to God. Oh, I'm just being obedient to God. And it's like, are you, or are you just saying that because it sounds good? And so it used to like really bother me. And because it's like, you're just saying it because it sounds good. Or people be like, ooh, God told me to do this. God told me to do that. And it's like, did he? And so once I learned for myself and really started to like figure things out for myself, I was like, okay, there is nothing wrong with being obedient to God. It's not a bad word. And I even remember like writing my prayer journal before. I was like, Lord, I do not like the O word. And I just refused to say the O word, because I felt like it was so tainted to me. And then finally, like now I'm just like, okay, I have no problem being obedient to God. I have no problem like listening to God. And it goes back to kind of what you talked about on my podcast about the small wins. And so with God and being obedient to him, I realized, and it shows up a lot in my business too. I would say, like when I was doing the virtual assistant business, I was just out there trying to, connect with people, network with people, trying to find people. And I was just always stagnant. Nothing was ever working. And when I finally shifted over and I was obedient and I shifted over to public relations, like no, things didn't just skyrocket and take off, but I started making connections. I started, things started flowing and they started going a little bit better. I saw more progress in my public relations business than I ever did in my virtual assistant business. And this was just in like a month or so of me doing the public relations thing versus 6-7 months of me doing the virtual assistant thing. I was going places. I was doing things were growing up. And so that's what it looks like when you're obedient to God and you just submit to his will and stop trying to do what it is that you want to do. the success will follow. And honestly, it will make things so less stressful, so much easier. This is why I go and take naps now, because I'm like, you know what? God said he got it. Like God told me to rest. I'm about to sit down and rest. And I know when I'm not being obedient to him, and when I'm not sitting down and taking a rest like he tells me to, he's gonna make me sit down and take that rest. You know, he's gonna be like, okay, I tried to tell you that you was doing too much and you weren't listening. So now I'm gonna sit you down, and you have no choice but to be obedient to me and do what it is. So yeah, you know, and when God's ready to turn something around to you, he can turn it around just like that. And so I take the small successes, and I'm fine with those. I'm happy with those. And I know that when he's ready, he's going to give me that big success that he's promised me. I just have to keep being obedient and doing what he's telling me to do, and not what I want to do, because that's not going to move things along any quicker. All that's going to do is slow down the progress. So slow progress is still progress.
Love it.
That
was amazing. All it's going to do is slow down what God is already telling you to do. Just listen, be obedient. Thank you, Angel. It's so true. Like, it is literally something that I literally walk out every day, and choosing to be obedient every day. You have to make that choice. You have to make that choice.
Yes.
So, guys, I hope that something that was mentioned here today, as Angel, you know, was transparent and honest and open with us and shared her stories. I know they had you laughing like they had me laughing, because all I can think about is just piles and piles of stuff being made right now, all the way to understanding how the obedience in God and what it yields when you do that. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Angel, thank you again so much. Oh, and I forgot to mention, guys, we went to school together. USC Aiken.
Yes.
That's
Go Pacers.
Go Pacers. Okay.
Go Pacers. Yes.
All the memories, all the things. If you want to learn a little bit about some of those memories, make sure you head to the Modco podcast in a few months or so you can actually hear some of that story from us too. It was good. You hear me?
Yes.
But until next time, guys, remember, read your Bible, mind your business, pray, and obey. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Insecure Faith Meets Joy and Freedom. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. As you know, your support helps us reach more people and spread the message of joy and freedom through faith. Don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, encouragement, and to join our amazing community. And you can do that at Insecure Faith Meets Joy, the letter N, Freedom. And you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Check the show notes for all information. Until next time, read your Bible, mind your business, pray, and obey. Take care.